Welcome to the Flying Octopus Podcast, offering a new perspective on Red Wings hockey, as well as all the important news from around the NHL. And now, here are your hosts, Tony Wolak, Devin Little, and Evan Sabrin.
Man, one last kick to the nuts. That's how Game 82 came down. This is how the Red Wings 2024-25 season has ended. And it was kind of painful, and I think I jinxed us guys. Like, as soon as I saw the game going into overtime, I was like, okay, this can be good. DeBrincat gets his 40th on a one-timer. Red Wings win. You know, at least send us off into the offseason on a good note. And no, that didn't happen. I said, which hockey god said no? None of them. I don't know who pissed them off in Detroit this year, but didn't go the Red Wings' way tonight as they close out the season 39, 35, and 8. 86 points after that 90-point season last year where they didn't get in due to a tiebreaker. So welcome to episode 31 of the Flying Octopus Podcast. And guys, we made it through a full season. I mean, that's at least something, to write home about. But we're going to talk about these last couple games with the Red Wings today, what to look forward to, and kind of like what we're going to be doing in the off season to kind of help keep bringing content to the Flying Octopus Podcast. So, Tony, let's start with you, man. How'd this last week go for you watching Red Wings?
You got to stay humble, right? You thought we're going to close out the year 3-0, defeating 3 playoff teams. And yeah, sure, there were some players rested here and there with Dallas, New Jersey, and Toronto, but got to stay humble. Lost in overtime to Toronto after giving up tying goal with 1.8 seconds left. Gotta love it. But the 4-3 loss to Toronto kind of summed up the season. It's like they were there, it was close, but just it wasn't enough. And now there's another long off season to plan, to build the team up even more, to be ready for 25, 26. And hopefully that's the year the Red Wings return to the playoffs. I feel like we've been saying that for a few years now. But I don't know. From the last week, there was a lot to like. Like, even though the team was mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, they didn't give up. Lucas Raymond actually had a fantastic week, 5 points in 3 games. And Moritz Seider, I think, ended up with 6 points in 3 games. So while the season didn't end the way the team hoped it to end, it was nice to see Detroit's young players like Raymond and Seider and Casper and even Berggren step up down in those games, finish strong, and kind of give a little hope going into the summer and going into next season that the whole point of the rebuild, to bring in these young players, to build around them, to have them develop into leaders in the NHL, it's paying off, because it did. Red Wings had their first 80-point scorer and God knows how long, and Lucas Raymond. Alex DeBrincat was a goal short of 40. Larkin finished with 30 goals. There's, again, a lot to like. I'm going to keep saying it until it's not true. The offseason is another opportunity. A big offseason can push the Red Wings over the top, and, we'll see what happens. But for now, you're right, 86 points, the 12th draft slot potentially. We'll see how the lottery goes. Fingers crossed, even though the Red Wings never get any lottery luck. But, yeah, Devin, what was your takeaways from the last week here?
Last week is kind of just, I think the theme would be last hurrah. You saw some final performances from players that you wanted to see good things from. You mentioned Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider. Always good to see them producing down the stretch, even when the games don't matter much. Jonathan Berggren, I thought, played really well on that top line with Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond down the stretch. I also am starting to just think that when you play with Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond, good things happen to you. But we've seen enough evidence of that at that point. But Simon Edvinsson, I thought, was a real standout in the game against New Jersey. I mentioned that in Wings and 2.
That kick even pass was something different, man. That kick pass was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the type of skill that gets you excited. He's only scratching the surface of what he can do. And then just even Justin Hall having a casual 2-point game tonight is like, okay, cool. Alex Lyon got a win in what I assume to be his last game as a Red Wings goaltender as well. Just some good, like, feel good performances. Obviously, like you said off the top here, Evan, an overtime loss against Toronto in a game where they had control, in a game where DeBrincat was on the edge of hitting that 40 goal mark, and they fall flat on every mark. Yeah, nothing better captures the essence of this season for the Red Wings than this game. But all things considered, it was a good week for the Red Wings, and now we have nothing to look forward to but a very long off season.
Yeah, it kind of sucks when you realize that now it's 5 months away, man. You bitch and moan about how awful the season was, and I can't wait for it to end and get to the draft. But when it really sets in, it's like I'm not going to be watching the Red Wings hockey for 5 months.
That's what I was saying. Like a few days ago, it's like it's 5 games left or 4 games left or whatever it was. It's like, savor it, guys. It's going to be over soon, and then there's not going to be any Red Wings hockey until training camp in September. Like, I hope everyone enjoyed it. Like they played well down the stretch. So I hope you all enjoyed it. It's going to be another long off season, of course, but at the very least, we were given some quality hockey in the final few games. So there's that at least.
Part of me is there. There's fans that, we're picking 12 again, so that's kind of hard to accept, or going to be picking 12 if they don't win the lottery. Same time, I'm curious about the play down the stretch, as Tony, as you mentioned, some of these teams aren't fully loaded with their top players, and even tonight with the Leafs, their top players, the forwards minutes were pretty evenly evened out over the course of the game. So again, it was good to see the fight at the end. But the season being over, it takes a minute to realize that, and now we have to watch other teams' fan bases have their fun in the Stanley Cup playoffs. 9 years is a long time, and I don't know if you guys. I tweeted you guys the other day, and it was like the worst picture I ever got. The last time the Red Wings made the playoffs, I had a picture of my dog who I lost last year in his Red Wings jersey in 2015, and that really hit home because the summers are just that much better when the Red Wings are in the playoffs. It's just the summer is that much more fun. You get together with the guys, you go out to, I don't know, where do you guys go? Buffalo Wild Wings? I don't even know anymore. And, watch games, have beers. And those summers, I remember back in the day when the Red Wings were every year, dominating in the playoffs. Those were like the best summers because it was, get together with the guys, watch hockey, have a great time. Playoffs are amazing, but it's been a while and it's been a problem. And I hope something changes this summer because this has been too long.
While the team, obviously didn't make the playoffs, a few points out, there were plenty of positive takeaways. I mean, I could go down the list. Marco Kasper stepping into a 2C role and not looking back. Simon Edvinsson and Morris Seider giving the Red Wings a true top pairing defenseman that could score, that can defend, that can be deployed against elite competition night in and night out and still thrive. Like Lucas Raymond, 80 points. Dylan Larkin continuing to score at a high pace. Patrick Kane showing that, I'm past the hip surgery. I'm good. DeBrincat almost getting 40. Albert Johansson, who had never played an NHL game coming into the season, suddenly is in a top 4 role. And hey, he's pretty good. You can complain about things here and there. Like, I wish JT Conver had a better season. I wish Berggren or Tarasenko had a better season. Gustafson had a better season. Cam Talbot made more saves here and there. But like, positives outweigh the negatives if you're looking at this in terms of the long term. And it's, only going to get better as these core players continue to, enter their prime and keep developing at the NHL level. Oh, and hey, by the way, there's a lot of talent still coming. There's Axel Sandin-Pellikka, there's Michael Brown-Signigaard, there's Nate Danielson, there's Sebastian Cossa. Hey, Emmett Finney's doing fantastic too. And not to mention, Carter Mazer and some of the other prospects who have been here.
Jelnikov.
And of course, Dmitry Pachelnikov. So, there's more talent on the way. There's so much talent that you can't name it all in one breath without forgetting someone. So it sucks right now, but the future is still bright. And like, I fully believe in that. And I know some people are kind of over it, but if you take a step back and look at the big picture, there is a lot to like.
Absolutely. And I think that for me, what this people are going to look at this season as a lost season. It was a step back. You're wasting Larkin's prime, whatever you want to say about it. I feel like this we're going to look back in this year as kind of the year that you started to see the core really emerge. Obviously, you already had Larkin, Raymond, and Sider, but that's three guys. You can't build a team around three guys. I think that this is the season that you feel really good about the Alex DeBrincat pickup. He was good last year. He was exactly what you picked him up to be this season. Still, he's not as young as some of the other guys on the team, but he's not old by any means. He's still got a lot of years of good hockey left in him. You got Marco Casper, who, as you said, Tony, emerged as the 2C. I don't see him going away from that role anytime soon. And he also showed that he can play in a top line wing role if need be too. So you've got four forwards that you can build around in the top six for the foreseeable future. You've got Seider and Edvinsson, as you mentioned, on the blue line. That's two. That's two pairings, or at least a top pairing. And then, as you mentioned, you have all these kids coming up. You have at least a handful of guys that you feel good about playing NHL games in the future. Probably closer to a dozen if we're going to include every player that really has a shot at it. And then there's also that tier of player like Albert Johansson, Elmer Soderblom, that aren't necessarily core pieces yet, but have a shot at becoming it, and are at least going to be good contributors heading into next season. So I get maybe the quick reaction to want to be down about this season and be upset about another year without the playoffs. I get it. 9 years is a long time, and it's got to end at some point. But to kind of just ball it up into that one statement of they didn't make the playoffs, so it's a lost season, I very much disagree. I think a lot of positives came from this season, and I think that the positives that they got are going to help them build into hopefully the team that they want to be next season. Oh, and by the way, I think they have the right coach as well. Let's not overlook that as well. This team was a completely different team once Todd McLellan took over, and he's going to have a full off season to know what he's working with now, build an off season or build a program and kind of plan for training camp. And, there were still little bits and pieces of the Derek Lalonde era this season. I think that those pieces will be eradicated heading into next season, and you'll see a 100% Todd McLellan team. And in my opinion, the Todd McLellan part of this team this season was the much better team.
Depending on when you listen to this, I have an article coming out Friday as well for the hockey writers that gets into just that, McLellan versus Lalonde, and how the team performed, and what was better, what was worse. What was clear was the offense was better. It was horrendous to start, but it improved. So, by a good chunk, depending on what metrics you're looking at, power play got significantly better. Like this, the team ended up with the fourth best power play in the league. It was not like that when Derek Lalonde was in charge. They only converted at 22.5% when he was there, and under McLellan, it was 34.2%. So big change there. And then with defense, it kind of got a little worse, but again, it was already not great to start. So you take the wins where you can, and they definitely improved on offense. So, to reiterate what we've been saying here, the kids they played a lot. The Red Wings have a good coach now, and they still barely missed the playoffs after being at rock bottom around Christmas. So you could take it as a loss. I see it as a win. And it's just, further proof, in my opinion, that this team is on an upward trajectory.
To me, it's a classic case of the glass is half full. And you see it on social media where there's two Red Wings fans. There's the fans calling for Yzerman's head. This organization's trash, this and that. You've seen it all. But it's also the other half is, looking at this future. And I always come back to the patience thing. But I think we do have to accept in a couple of years from now, no one's going to be bitching about these seasons because the rebuild effort looks like it's going to be there. When we talk about all those prospects, not even all of them have to hit for the Red Wings to get there. Even if half of them hit, the Red Wings are going to be a very dangerous team in the East. So while the Pistons beat the Red Wings to playoffs at the LCA, which I'm pretty disappointed about, I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card the last 5 years with the Pistons organization. And I think people also get frustrated when they see that other NHL teams turn their teams around faster. But it's just not that simple. And we're not in a position to know actually like what goes on behind the scenes, what players would come here, what players didn't want to come here. When you head into free agency, and Yzerman has said all along he'll play the long game and he's going to build it through the draft. Well, we're in the long game, people. We're not at the end game yet. This isn't a Marvel movie. 2 years from now, I think we're going to be sitting pretty. So I do hate to do this to you guys because it's kind of like a too soon moment, but looking forward to next season, what do you guys want to see this offseason? Like, what's the most important thing that Steve Yzerman needs to address? Tony, let's go with you, buddy.
I'm not sure if this is like a thing per se for Yzerman to address, but what I do see happening this offseason and going into next season is, Devin alluded to it earlier, Todd McLellan having much more say in what goes on. He's going to have a full offseason to plan, have a full offseason to prepare strategy, to figure out just how this team is going to approach the 2025-26 season. And on top of that, he'll have the opportunity to work with Yzerman to select the players both on the team now and not on the team currently to fill up that roster for next season. I fully anticipate him having a heavy hand in the roster management decisions this offseason to put the players in place to succeed in his system. Because, there are certain players who just did not perform well down the stretch with him. We won't, bash them overhead right now. We have plenty to get to later. But what I do see is just it's the summer of McLellan, guys. There's going to be a lot of change in Detroit. There's going to be a lot of change to their strategy. It's going to be his team 100% at the start of training camp.
For me, I think that this is another one of those things where we say this every single offseason. It kind of makes me think of well, before I get ahead of myself, this is going to be a very pivotal offseason for the Red Wings. Almost like this could be the offseason that kind of determines how their future is going to go. And it makes me think of how every election is the most important election of our lifetime. But I do feel like this offseason very much has a huge chance to shape the Red Wings for a generation, honestly. And it's not just because of the long-term players that are already in place, not just because of what you said there, Tony, where the coach that is in place now is going to have a say over what players are going to be here, but also, I don't know if you heard, guys, but the Red Wings are going to have some money to play with in the offseason, even after taking care of their own business. And I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a long offseason where we're going to be talking about the name Mitch Marner a lot, I feel like, until we get to July or whenever he eventually signs with the Maple Leafs. But it's going to be an offseason where we're talking about names like that. If it's not Marner, maybe it's Aaron Ekblad. Maybe it's Vladislav Gavrikov. Obviously not as big of a name as the other two, but it's going to be an offseason where, like you said, Tony, we're kind of expecting some big changes and maybe even some headline type of moves as well. Again, don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. We have a long spring ahead of us to talk about this stuff, but there are some off seasons where you talk about potential trade targets and free agents, and you throw it out there to kind of just get the conversation going, and it's fun to kind of play pretend GM and whatnot. But in reality, it's more prudent to take a measured approach. And that's what the Red Wings have done in previous years. I do think that this is probably the first summer where if the Red Wings want to make a splash, they have every reason to do it. If they have, if I'm right and they have like a solid core 4 forwards, why not get that fifth one and really kind of bring that top 6 together? If they really do have 2 top pairing defensemen, go get another one to round out that top 4. Albert Johansson showed that he can at least survive in that role. Maybe he could get even better. And heck, I mean, if there's an opportunity to really shore up their goaltending situation in a way that doesn't inhibit Sebastian Costa's growth, why not explore that as well? There's every reason for the Red Wings to want to end their playoff drought, not just from a pride standpoint, but as we've been mentioning several times, it's their centennial season. And what better way to celebrate that than with playoff games at Little Caesars Arena? And they also have the wherewithal and the funds and the resources to be the team that makes a splash this offseason. Be wary. You don't want to do what the Nashville Predators did this offseason and then end up in the spot they're in. But there's definitely a way forward where the Red Wings kind of surprise some people, make a big splash, make up some big additions, and really set themselves up to be the team they want to be for the foreseeable future. And like I said, shape their team for a generation.
I feel safe saying that this was probably the most difficult season Yzerman has had so far with the team, when you consider the fact expectations and then some of the things, the criticism he felt from the media, whether it was the Wallman trade or free agents that didn't work out. I think you're going to see a very aggressive GM this summer. When they cut to him up in the suite, you can almost see like the anger, like firing in his eyes. I think he's gonna do some things this summer. Can't sign Marner, go offer sheet nice. Why not? I think that actually could happen. When you saw what St. Louis did this year, I thought that was that really turned their team around. That was a big part of it. But no, drifting off topic here. But I think Yzerman's going to be very aggressive. And I think we're going to see some major changes into this team, as well as we're going to see some. I think there's going to be some kids get some chances next year. I think at some point we're going to see ASP. I think at some point we'll see Nate Danielson next season. And I think he's got to just find the right combination of vets that can mix with these kids. It also wouldn't hurt, in my honest opinion, to look at the pro scouting department with some of these moves that have free agent signings that have happened that they may or may not have signed off on because they haven't worked. I think people's jobs are going to start getting on the line here, because I think Yzerman really wants to get this team back into the playoff mix on a year-by-year basis. So I think this is probably his biggest summer. I think it is, as Red Wings general manager, since he's returned.
So yeah, we will see what happens this summer. And again, the summer, it's still the spring, it's still snowing in places. So we have a little bit of time to talk about this, and that's exactly what we're planning to do. So, this is episode 31 of the Flying Octopus Podcast. We haven't actually had like a true off season as a group. Obviously, Devin and I and Evan too have covered the Red Wings, quite a bit in the past for the Hockey Writers, and as a team, as a podcast, this could be our first off season. So, as we head into a stretch of no Red Wings hockey, we do want to remind our listeners that we'll still record. We're still going to record every week. We're still going to, put out content about the Red Wings. Just a few things that we're planning to cover as we get into the offseason, like an overall team analysis, going layer by layer, looking at the team as a whole, comparing to previous years and what to expect moving forward. Player evaluations, again, how they did year over year versus expectations going into the season. Lots of, good stuff there about each individual player. Also plenty of draft coverage. So, draft targets, not just the first round, but, well beyond that, putting together a full draft board for the Red Wings. And we're going to have boots on the ground in Los Angeles for the draft. So that will be pretty exciting. And then finally, the main part of the offseason, the roster management aspect, like Detroit's RFAs, external free agents, contract projections for the whole lot, buyout candidates, trade candidates. It's all going to get covered. So, it's going to be, spread out over the next few weeks leading up to the draft into July 1st. But obviously there's plenty to talk about with this team. So stay tuned, and we look forward to bringing you more Red Wings content as we go into the offseason.
Yeah, Tony, that sounds good. And I think this summer is going to be fun. And guys, congratulations, man. First season, we made it through all 82 games. We didn't kill each other. We dressed alike a couple times, and we had some fun. It was I'd say it was a good first season. Good first season. We're not in the draft lot. We're not in the draft lottery. We didn't fail. So thanks for watching episode 31 of the Flying Octopus Podcast. Just a quick reminder where you can find us. We're on Twitter at Flying Octopod, YouTube at the same name. And you can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. Check us out. Leave a comment. If there's anything we can improve on, let us know. If there's anything you want us to talk about, let us know. We'll be there. And yeah, we're sticking around, guys, this summer. We'll be here. So see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Flying Octopus Podcast. Follow us on YouTube at the Flying Octopus channel and Twitter at Flying Octopod.